Well, we're just getting started. Welcome, everybody. This is the 20-Minute Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, as always, Mick Manhattan. And for the millions or ones or twos of fans that are actually listening out there, I appreciate you. Thank you for being a fan of the 20-Minute Wrestling Podcast, and thank you for being a fan of the scenesnobs.com. We're doing live shows, trying to keep everybody engaged and to join in during this isolation period. But we're out here now. I was supposed to be joined tonight by my very good friend and tag team partner, Lenny Strong, but he unfortunately could not make it. We miss you, Len. But for all of you who are joining in, please feel free. Hop on in. Whatever you want to talk about in the world of wrestling, I am all for it. There are some things that have been going on that I have been checking out in this past week that, I kind of want to go over. But, that's about it at the moment. Anybody check out the season premiere of Dark Side of the Ring? Now, if you don't know what that is, on Vice, they have a show that's called Dark Side of the Ring, of course. And in that show, they cover different stories, different things throughout the history of wrestling that you may not have heard of. Myths, lore, rumors, things like that were more on the dark side of things. And they open up their season 2 with a pretty big impact on wrestling fans, because it handled in a 2-part episode the Chris Benoit story. And I have to tell you, it was equal parts heartbreaking, eye-opening, just downright sad, man. It really is. It's a sad state of affairs. I mean, if you don't know the story, of course, Chris Benoit, who was a champion wrestler for WCW, New Japan, way back in the day, and WWE, eventually as WWE champ, he murdered his family, his wife and child. It was about 15 years ago or so. And now they're kind of telling the story. You see, that the big thing about it is, like, if you're a wrestling fan, you may have heard, you may have known, like, he was kind of a fan favorite. But unfortunately, it just, afterwards, of course, after what he did, like, he lost a lot of respect in fans' eyes. And he disappeared from the, kind of from the scene, but I'm not here to talk about that. I'm talking about the show that followed him, Dark Side of the Ring on Vice, if nobody's seen it. So they covered the Chris Benoit story in 2 parts. They had it, I don't want to say a sympathetic side, but I thought it was important the way they told the story. Sympathetic, of course, to the victims of the situation, but they handled the story well because it kind of told you everything that was going on in Chris Benoit's past. And it had friends of his come on. J.R. Ross came on. Good old Jim Ross, I should say. Chris Jericho was on there. Vicky Guerrero, who was Eddie Guerrero's wife. Chris Benoit's best friend. Chris Benoit's wife's sister. She came on and talked. Chris Benoit's son came on and talked. It was really in depth, and they handled the story, and you saw new sides of it that we didn't even see then. So it was pretty crazy. And again, I don't want to say that it was handling him in a sympathetic way, but it was giving you input into what was going on at the time: the drugs, the alcohol, the injuries, the concussions that may or may not have led to a lot of this. But it was a well-weaved story for these 2-parters. And it got me thinking a lot, like, because after that, WWE he completely vanished from anywhere from WWE. Like, you don't hear anything about him. His family doesn't show up anymore, anywhere. He'll never be in the Hall of Fame, which, good, he shouldn't be, but it's just kind of how it is. So, but with that, it got me thinking a lot about what's going on in the world today, and how different wrestling programs are handling things. So, for anybody just joining, we're talking about kind of the healthcare in the wrestling world, and it spawns from having seen the new Dark Side of the Ring season 2 premiere, which handled Chris Benoit and that whole story. But it gets me thinking about things like what happened with Roman Reigns and what's going on there. You have Roman Reigns, who has gone into remission twice, leukemia survivor, and he's just at that point where, for him, like, he just came back not too long ago, going into remission, maybe under a year ago, and it was with everything going on with COVID-19 and just how they're handling things. Like, they're trying to amp up for WrestleMania, which is going to be in about a week or so, and he just picked up and left. Now, they have put out, AEW was the first to do it, WWE followed suit. Anybody who wanted to leave and go quarantine was able to without losing anything, losing their push or anything like that. No hard feelings, go ahead. I have trouble believing that when it comes to WWE, only because of Vince McMahon's past and what he's doing right now with WrestleMania, which I highly disagree with. I think he is, he's got a lot of power and he holds things overhead. And for all of the boastfulness of that company to talk about how well they handle things like the wellness program and things like that, and having all the doctors on hand, and we've heard retort to that, with the likes of CM Punk and others. Somebody like Roman Reigns or Daniel Bryan, who had to go into quarantine, but were just up until earlier this week still at the Performance Center getting ready for WrestleMania. It shouldn't take Roman Reigns to get to a point where he's like, I have to go. I can't be here. There's too many people here. And he just took his stuff and he went home, which he should have done. I mean, the guy is susceptible even more so than most to the coronavirus, and he should have never been there. And I don't know how the WWE officials and the doctors that work for WWE did not step in and say, you got to go. Now, I understand he had a huge match set for WrestleMania with Goldberg. I get it. I get that. All the more reason why, if it's so important, you should be canceling WrestleMania. Now, I don't necessarily mean that you should cancel the shows. You can have the shows. You have a wide range. You can do new pushes. You can do whatever you need to do and still take the shows the way they are doing, where it's small skeleton crews handling certain matches, and you can get creative with it. But for the ones that, for the wrestlers that do have pre-existing conditions, like Roman Reigns or Daniel Bryan, which is a big one, who is in self-quarantine now. He can't even be with his family because he has to quarantine himself to be away from them. So it's a sad state of affairs that this is happening, and it's quite a bright light shined in the area of WWE and how they handle things. It's kind of sad, honestly. I hate to see it, but it's a tough one. How do you handle this? I mean, honestly, where do you go from here? Can you salvage this? Because you've already started filming. Orlando shut down on you. That's where their performance center is. The city of Orlando shut you down and said you can't shoot there anymore. And they're still trying to figure it out. When do you say enough is enough and then postpone WrestleMania? Why can't you postpone WrestleMania? I understand it's an institution in wrestling. It's been around for over 30 years. But why can't you postpone it? Why does it have to be now? I know you've had pushes. I know you've had storylines going through. But you've pivoted a million times. Why can't you just pivot again? That's my feelings on it. And I really just I can't get over how this is being treated. And Vince McMahon it really opened my eyes to him even more. Like, I've heard horror stories for years, but yeah, this is kind of disturbing in the way this is going. And the Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan thing is rough. And then I go over to AEW and they're still recording. I get it. And again, like I said with WWE, I'm not saying they shouldn't be allowed to put their shows on, but WrestleMania is too big. You have too many people. There's too many things going on. And you're going to ruin your product, your story by doing it this way. When you're saying it's too big for one night and you're doing 2 nights, it's because you're going to end it that long. And because you've been filming things like crazy and you want to take over 2 nights if you can, what are you going to do? Like, is this still going to be on the WWE network, or how are they going to change it up? Like, a lot of things out there left to question. And it's bugging me, because then I watch AEW, they're still doing it, they're recording their shows, they're keeping it down to a skeleton crew. They're keeping social distancing going. They're incorporating it into their stories. And I feel like they're doing it right. Now, their biggest, I really think they're being affected by it too. And I don't know how much longer that can go on, because they're not going to be able to do a pay-per-view either. And I think they have one coming up in May. So we'll see what happens there with everything. But I don't even know where they're going to go, because their storylines are being built up too slow. Like, you have Lance Archer, who's going to be against Cody. And I felt like the way they've been telling stories, that could have been really cool, especially introducing Jake the Snake. But I think it's coming way too soon. And now you introduce, I think everything, because they had to pivot away from the blood and guts, which I get, and I'm not against that. I think it was a good decision. It's like I'm saying with WrestleMania. Postpone it. Give it to us later. But now, I think the stories are going to suffer a little bit, like the Matt Hardy versus Jericho. Yeah, maybe you could draw that out until you can do the blood and guts. We'll see. But it just didn't work this week for me. Hopefully it turns around, but the supernatural element just doesn't really work. You could still do the broken Matt Hardy, but I feel I need to change it up a little bit. And it doesn't work with Jericho. Jericho's a little too... I think you need somebody who matches Jericho's flair, if you will, for lack of a better term. I feel like that's what you need there. So that's just, AEW, hopefully they'll pull out of it, because they know how to pivot and they know how to write stories. Just right now they're in a bit of a jam, but we'll see where this goes from there. But yeah, with everything going on with wrestling, it's really been slow. So I've kind of been picking up and doing other stuff, watching old stuff, things like that. I'm not really looking forward to WrestleMania. There's no story behind anything, and it's kind of all the same. So, but I will watch and I will report on it, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it will be cool. Hopefully I'll be completely wrong and they'll blow me away and it will be awesome. But right now, the only thing I think we can look forward to in pay-per-view terms is Wrestling Dynasty in August, depending on how long everything goes. And that's New Japan, just in case anybody doesn't know. They're going to be at Madison Square Garden, so that'll be interesting to see. But with that being said, it's kind of like I said, it's a slow week. NXT didn't have much. They're setting up because they're going to be incorporated in WrestleMania as well. They're not going to do a takeover, so we'll see what happens there. The takeover that was supposed to take place in Ireland has been postponed until October. So I was looking forward to that too, because the NXT UK with Finn Balor, I think, was supposed to be in there. It would have been awesome. But unfortunately, that's just kind of the way it goes. But I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you guys think. So make sure you're messaging me on this. With that being said, we got a lot going on over at thescenesnobs.com. So if you're interested, jump on in. Go check out the new shows. We just did a brand new Behind the Box that came out on Friday. Rob and I talked about action movies. He also has a new show on the Scene Snobs, which is Rob Paints the Movies. He'll have another one this week coming up. So go check those out. We're doing watch parties. Just if you guys are interested in like horror movies, stuff like that. Every Saturday night at 8 p.m., we are going to watch a movie. Basically from the comfort of your own home. You can find it on a streaming service you have, or if you have it on a copy on DVD or something, just hit play at 8 o'clock. I will have all this up. So go check out the Scene Snob's Facebook page. How it works is this Monday, I will put up 4 movies for us to poll. A poll of 4 movies, I should say, to vote on. So you vote on what movie you want to watch, and then we go from there. Whatever movie wins, I will make the event. We'll all get together on Saturday, and we'll do a watch along, a live watch along, with a thread that we can comment during the movie. After the movie, I will do a Facebook Live event where I moderate. You guys come on, we all talk. We just did one last Saturday. It was a ton of fun. Everybody had a good time during the movie, and then even after, when we did the Facebook Live, people joined in like crazy. So please, if you're a fan of horror movies, it's just to try and keep everybody together and do a watch party. So if anybody's watching this, the Alamo Drafthouse, Winchester, Virginia, they're doing virtual screenings, which you can buy tickets for. For the PC movie, it's number 37. If you buy a ticket for it for this week, when you vote on the movie on the Scene Snobs page starting tomorrow, your vote counts as 2. You just have to, in the comments, show your ticket purchase. So go ahead out and support them. That's cool. Get your 2 votes, and it'll be a lot of fun. More on that will come up. We have a brand new polling focus that I just recorded yesterday with my partner over at Skyline Indie Film Festival, Ryan Patrick. That will be out on Tuesday, so make sure you check that out. That was a lot of fun to record. And that's just about it, but really stay safe out there. I'm trying to do these live shows to keep people involved. I know it's Sunday night. It's a tough one for everybody. Some of you got work tomorrow, but come out, enjoy. This will be up on the site tomorrow on thescenesnobs.com, like I said. But until then, the wrestling, I will have a new show next week, but we have content every day, so go check us out. It was a lot of fun talking to you guys, and I will talk to you soon. The Scene Snob out. Take care.